Hello, it's Adrian or Lee6113, and today is August 31st, 2025, which is the final day for RPG A Day 2025. I just printed out all the prompts so I could run through this video very quickly. On my server and Discord, I had done the first prompt, the patron, and I had made Captain Mayfield, who is going to be the patron for kind of not all the questions will be pertaining to that adventure idea, but I had made him, and I intended to go through it in my little notebook, which I don't even have that with me, nor dice. I was going to go through and try to finish up this RPG month. However, I was far too busy, and that did not happen, so I just figured I would go through it very quickly right now, and I'm probably going to skip the question, mood, and subject lines, since I don't have my dice with me. And also, I am pressed for time. I only have like 20-30 minutes. So, patron for day one, that was Captain Mayfield. He had served in the British Navy during World War I. And for prompt number 2, during his patrols in the North Sea, above Germany and Europe and that kind of area, he had seen some very interesting, suspicious, supernatural, something's out there in the North Sea. And so now that he's retired and has come into wealth, he is putting together a party of explorers or adventurers or people to go out and try to find out these mysterious lights and this mysterious ship or land that he had seen up there. So that's prompt number 2, is going to discover this superstitiously mysterious phenomena he had been seeing. For tavern, for day 3, I was going to actually switch topics and switch over to just my own personal experience. When I think of the tavern, I think of the Dungeon Delvers Guild from the Lee6113 group, from our shared world that we played during COVID. We had so many people participate in that world of Erden using D&D 5e. There are people playing all the time back in 2020, 2021, and it was all centered around the Dungeon Delvers Guild. And so tavern just makes me think of that, the hub where all the adventurers would go. That was good times. Day number 4 is message. I feel like the prompt that I was going to do for this is back to the idea of the adventurers using, again, the game prompt from this patron and the prompt and everything is using Hollow Earth Expedition, where the party is going out to discover a lost city or something like that. So message, they're out in the North Sea on their ship. It's in the 30s, pre-World War II, right on the brink, and they intercept some sort of radio message. And so they are going towards that, and that's the start of the adventure. Question, prompt number 5, ancient. This place that they're going, this message they intercept, this the foundation of this dungeon that we're going to go explore is possibly Atlantis inspired, an ancient culture, some sort of submerged city, something like that. Day number 6 is motive. The party could have motive from being just treasure hunters, seeking fame. Could be to, the players will have to come up with their own motives for why they would be going out on that. They could be lore masters, history buffs, or just Lara Croft Tomb Raider style adventurers. Who knows? Number 7, journey. Let's change topics a little. The keyword journey for day number 7, it reminds me Adventures of Middle Earth or the One Ring. They have a mechanic for journeying across Middle Earth as your characters are going from place to place, and there's a whole phase for journeying that I used to hate. I never understood why it had to be gamified to do that, but as I've watched other live plays and I've been interested to kind of run a Lord of the Rings game myself, I think the journeying can be actually done really well using those rules where you have events that could happen, and it's just kind of like putting everything together in like a mini game for a game, which would be fun. Day number 8 is the keyword explore. And so once our party, back to the game idea that I had, which we'll just call it dive, because that's what I called it for a couple years in my notebooks. The party would be able to get onto a surfaced portion of the city, and from there they have to go in, and it's kind of like a dungeon delve. They have to explore the submerged city. For day number 9, the keyword is inspire. And I think talking about inspiration in terms of role-playing games, you can draw inspiration from anything. You can see a fern or something, and that makes you want to put something like that into your game, or you might see a movie, and you want to take a characteristic or make a character based off of what you're seeing there. You can just see a piece of artwork, and that can inspire you to want to make a character. Like if Pi, I know, is the same way as me. Like, you could see a picture of like mechs from Pacific Rim, and then you want to play Mecha Hack. For gamers like me anyways, it's very easy to trigger, I need to play that game next. So I would just wish we had more time to play and indulge. Day number 10 is origin. In previous RPG Day years, I've gone over my origins with how I started role-playing and everything like that. I think in zooming into like a character creation topic for origins, I've always thought like D&D 5th edition, the origin was basically you could just ignore it completely. Like, you roll for your background and a couple other details, and they give you like 3 words or like vows or like line items that you can base off your character. I've largely always ignored that, because you can just create your own origin. If you have any inspiration, you can make that very easily. So I've never really bothered with like D&D origin texts. However, flipping over to another role-playing game system where it actually does matter, like if you pick up Cyberpunk Red, or I'm very excited to start making a character for the Witcher tabletop role-playing game. Games like that where they have like life histories. Traveler role-playing game is another one that does that. Even Hollow Earth Expedition has a little bit better origin basis, is by taking a template character, like he is a big game hunter or he's a scientist, and that can kind of give you more ideas than I feel like what the 5e books always did. But I might be being too hard on them. It's been a long time since I've looked at a 5th edition D&D book. But origins, with like Traveler or Cyberpunk Red, you actually kind of like start from zero, and you don't really, if you start with the character concept in mind with those games, you're going to end with a totally different character, because as you go through it, their life path creates situations, it creates relationships, it creates encounters, and things happen to your character in character creation, which develops your origin story to where you are now. So you could largely have this idea for being one character, and if you go through their character creation as written, totally different PC on the back end, which can be fun or it can be annoying. Cyberpunk Red, for that reason, kind of turned me off of it for a little bit, but if you go in with the right mindset, it can be super fun. Traveler is one of those games that I would love to play, where you do start from like an 18-year-old kid. You roll to see if you went to high school or not, and then you can go through as many terms as you want to age your character and give them experiences, whether they're joining the military or working for this company or that company or going to jail. Like, you just roll the dice and see, which is fun. Day 11 is flavor. I think for this keyword, it reminds me of just role-playing in the Dungeon Delvers Guild, and a lot of the time we would flavor our characters' spells or abilities to just be a little bit more custom to that character, or their descriptions were very flavorful with how they might look, and getting art for the characters is just always really fun. But I think seeing players, if I'm the DM and I'm running for someone, seeing how one of the players might flavor their character is always really fun to see. Day 12 is path. This keyword just reminds me kind of dungeon delving, navigating down through a maze, thinking about like old school, or you'd be graphing the dungeon as you're going through it. I remember my dad telling me about when he was a kid playing D&D. He had, as the DM, he would have his own map, but there'd be like an open board with no board basically, and then the players, whoever's navigating, they would have their own graph paper, and they would make their own version of the dungeon based off of the DM's narration. So you might have a room that's 30 feet by 20 feet, and then you'd have to draw in the pillars yourself and loosely like look through. That was it always inspired me as a fun way to play, though I've never done that before myself, but it did sound fun. The keyword for day 13 is darkness, and that reminds me of Shadow Dark. Shadow Dark is, I've played it I think only 1 or 2 times, but it's really fun. It's like a hardcore simplified version of D&D 5th edition. I like how the characters, there's no dark vision in it. People are a lot more squishy. It's a little bit more gritty. This vibe of this whole page is black and white. That's the style of Shadow Dark to me. Very just sketched drawings and scary monsters. And in darkness, your torches will extinguish after an hour of real time. Nobody has dark vision, so the dark is actually really scary in Shadow Dark, which is fun. Day 14, the keyword is mystery. This keyword makes me think of either Quantum Black or Call of Cthulhu. I feel like for Call of Cthulhu, there's a lot of the time the characters are playing investigators or reporters, something, and they're trying to uncover a mystery, oftentimes resulting in discovering supernatural shenanigans of some sort, mind-bending insanity being the result. But for Quantum Black, I feel like the mystery is more centered around the characters. At least my Quantum Black world. I think all of my players have always had characters, and the theme of secrets has always been very big in mine, which is kind of inverse from most other games that I know. You typically want everybody to be on the same team, all unified in their goals and good friends with each other. But in Quantum Black, I feel like that's kind of tipped on its head, and everybody has their own secrets, their own motivations, their own private goals and ambitions, and their own dark streaks in one way or another. Leading me to day 15, deceive. In Quantum Black, it's not too uncommon for characters to deceive the other characters. Maybe not on purpose, but maybe just hiding things from them, such as, I don't know, dare I say, putting tracking chips in each other, or working for other organizations besides Quantum Black, or various other things. Some characters have a supernatural attachment to some supernatural beings, and maybe people don't know about that. There's all kinds of room for characters in Quantum Black to have their own private secrets that they will deceive others for. I think you can also talk about deception with NPCs, and the idea of having a party member, an NPC that ends up being a villain or something, but I've never done that I can remember. So I'll just jump on to day 16, overcome. Yeah, and I'm on time so far, 13 minutes in. So overcome, I'll just say for more out of character, for in real life, one thing I would very much like to overcome is my schedule and get back into gaming. I would definitely be willing to even just wake up super early to play a game. That's weekly. I miss weekly games. I think there's something special about playing every week. The consistency of that campaign would be really fun to do. So overcoming the schedule monster, that would be what I would want. We're on to line 2, which is the third line here is just for the additional prompts. But for day 17, renew. I think one thing that I really like with role-playing games is when you take your long rests and stuff, you renew all your abilities. What I like about Adventures in Middle-earth or the One Ring, or now the new role-playing game Draw Steel from MCDM, you don't get to recharge all of your abilities and regain all your health just overnight sleeping. I've always thought that was kind of meh. If you got slashed open with a big axe and you're at 2 hit points, one night's rest isn't really gonna do that. Well, in Lord of the Rings role-playing games, the various different ones, whether it's the 5e version or the One Ring edition or the old Adventures in Middle-earth edition, you have to go to Rivendell to take your long rest there. So I really like that idea of you can't just rest and sleep through things in your in your little barricade yourself in a room situation and just sleep overnight. I think having to withdraw and go back to a safe zone, I like that for renewing. Day 18 is sign, and I think for this, I mean, you could have there'd be some sort of sign that like a druid or a wizard has to interpret, but I think the word sign kind of inspires me more that the characters, like say in read D&D there's thieves can't, that I've always kind of interpreted that as like sketches on walls, graffiti or something, or it could be sign language, but I always like the idea that there are alternative ways to communicate besides just speaking or telepathy. Day 19 is destiny. I don't really have any thing jumping out at me, so let's see. This would be a good one for actually the question, mood, or subject one, or maybe I'll just skip it. I think it's destiny makes me think of like very large campaigns where the characters go from like 0 to 20 and it's their destiny to become like the major adventurers. I think the most fun version of that I have seen, not that I watch a lot of live plays, but I watched all of the High Rollers D&D group from High Rollers, their Erois campaign. That was a really fun one where they went from so far and it kind of became their destiny to be the saviors of Erois. That was fun. Day 20, enter. That just makes me think enter the dungeon. You go in and there can be so many things that you uncover and encounter, and but it all starts with going through the doors. 21, unexpected. I think for unexpected, when you're adventuring through the dungeon, like you're trying to obviously find out if there's traps or anything like that, so it's not super unexpected if one does happen. I think what would be more unexpected is like something just completely shifting directions, which has to be done carefully. But I think the most fun memory I have of unexpected, I think, is probably I was running a Hollow Earth campaign. It's like a 12 game session, and Becca and Eric were in it, and a few other people. But the party is like took place in like the 70s or something like that, so it's like modern-ish. But they were adventuring in the Philippines trying to find this buried treasure from World War II, and eventually they were getting all these clues together and they found like this little buried pyramid thing, and they were able to open it up, and Eric's character like started messing around with it, and this just sci-fi drone lifted up from the pyramid, and then like he figured out how to kind of like pilot it and control it, and it flew over to where the mercenary camp was nearby and like blew up all their trucks with just like laser blasts. And that was really fun because of how unexpected it was, I think, for them specifically to see, because it kind of like genre swapped just really fast, where all of a sudden they're just normal people and then there's an alien drone with laser beams. That was fun to me, at least. I hope it was fun for them as well. Day 22, ally. I think for me, thinking about this is when, what's an ally that has come up? I really like how in the Dungeon Delvers Guild, all the adventurers are kind of loosely allied by their membership with the DDG. That they've got Takarov, the Guildmaster. They have all the other NPCs that are in their is it Elrod? I'm sorry, Mackenzie, I forgot his name. But the Finger Guns Wizard, all of those different NPCs that can give quests and stuff, they're all your allies. And I like how there's a lot of camaraderie in the Dungeon Delvers Guild. For day 23, recent, the most recent game that I have played is going to probably be Pie's Heliana's Monster game, which is D&D. Before that would have been Mecha Hack, and what I'm most looking forward to right now is The Witcher, or potentially my own game if we can ever get that set up. 24, reveal. I can't think of a very big reveal. I think in concept, doing a big reveal can be very fun. Even a small reveal, transitioning the players from a Roll20 page 1 to page 2, and then there's a really cool map that can be a fun reveal. I think in the beginning of the characters all meeting each other, if it's kind of like a beginning of a campaign and you're revealing your characters to the other people and they're all starting to meet each other, that can be fun. But I can't think of any big giant dungeon reveals that are unexpected and stuff like that. So just skip to the next. Challenge day 25. Out of all the things that I think I've encountered with my role playing, the ones that comes to the top is playing in June's Pathfinder 1E game, and the biggest challenge that we had was not fighting the dragon, though apparently I had a sword that was not legal, so that one kind of cheated. But the actual biggest challenge was climbing the cliff, which is like 20 feet. We had so much trouble getting up that cliff. That was actually the real big boss of that game. Day 26 was Nemesis. This can be really fun if you have somebody that's always like out there. Like in Quantum Black, I think Pi has adopted the Rogue Spider Team Venom as his nemesis, which is kind of fun. And I'm sure there's others examples of that, but just in the interest of time, we're going to jump to day 27, Tactic. I think tactics in gaming is really fun. I think I'd love to get into just wargaming more, because you're just battling and it's tactics. I think that's really fun. In a role-playing game, when you're in combat, utilizing each other's abilities, doing combinations. In the Heliana's game that I'm in D&D, one of my favorite things to do is enlarge our tank fighter, because it's fun to do that and use your abilities to boost and hinder the others, and tactics are fun. Suspense is day 28. I think it's really fun if a game can get suspenseful, but I think it's hard to pull off. I don't really have any examples of that jump to mind from a suspenseful game. Maybe there's nothing's coming to mind. So day 29, Connect. One of the things that I love about role-playing games is connecting with friends. I think meeting everybody on the D&D servers that I've been on, and they've become lifelong friends, I feel like, for a lot of them. It's really nice to have a connection in part of my life that isn't really present in real life. All my brothers and sisters, I'd love to game with them, but just we're all busy, we all have lives. It's not feasible to really do that. So having that connection in my role-playing game life is just amazing. So thank you all for being my friends. Day 30, Experience. Likewise from the last one, I think the experience of role-playing is brought so much joy and mental relief from just real life stuff. It's a way to escape and just have fun and be a little carefree and focus on Dungeons and Dragons and monsters and treasure and dungeon delving and all that. It's been a really good experience. And getting role-playing experience, like experience in role-playing games, is fun too. I especially like Ubiquity's 5 XP base system. I also really like how in Pendragon, which is another game I've been reading up on a lot recently, just every winter you level something up. Kind of like in Call of Duty, you check the box of a skill that you've used and that you can level up. I like that. I like it with Ubiquity, though. You just buy what you want with your experience points. That I like a lot. And day 31, final day for today, August 31st, reward. I think finishing a successful campaign is one of the most rewarding feelings. I've only done it like a couple times, but finishing a series or finishing a character's story arc, that can be really rewarding. Having authentic moments in role-playing is one of the most rewarding things, where you feel so much like you're the character. Like when I was in Alex's Icewind Dale campaign, and I was playing the character of Atticus, the half-elf. He was a fighter, but I felt really connected to that character because I had spent a lot of time thinking about his story and his motivations, and when he eventually was killed, that was a very rich role-playing experience and a rewarding memory to have. But there's no reward like scheduling a game, everybody shows up, and it's awesome and it's fun. So let's have more of that in the future. So anyways, this has been RPG Day 2025. I'm Adrian, or Lee6113, and I hope you have a fantastic year ahead of gaming. One thing I'm looking forward to a lot is running my own dive campaign, playing in the Witcher role-playing game, going to OrcaCon in Seattle this coming January. I might get to meet someone there from my online friends. And yeah, I love character artwork, custom character art, or even like videos. I'd love to do more of that in the future. I'd love to finish the Quantum Black New York City arc, and see what lies ahead. Maybe we'll get into the Tokyo arc with some racing. Anyways, I hope you all have a great day, and I will talk to you later.